because when it comes time to leave that bar to go home, both of Mr. Dawson's friends, they're too drunk to drive. But Mr. Dawson isn't, because he's been keeping it slow, he's been playing it safe, so he gets behind the wheel of Vanessa's car to take those two girls home. Unfortunately, what you're going to hear is that this night was very bad conditions. It was pouring down rain. Mr. Dawson wasn't very familiar with the roads. And as he's taken that curve on Canyon Road, the unthinkable happens. A deer jumps out in front of his car, and he's forced to try to avoid it. In the pouring down rain, on a poorly lit road that he's not familiar with, Mr. Dawson, he grabs hold of that wheel and he does everything he can to try to stay in control of that car. He swerves to avoid the deer, and he fights with that wheel to get back on the road. For over 100 feet, he keeps on the side of the road, following along, doing everything he can to get back on. But there's nothing he can do. I'm sure you've felt what it's like before to hydroplane and lose control of a car. And it's one of the scariest things that can happen to you. That's what happens to Mr. Dawson. And that's what caused that accident. After he just gets out of a fatal car crash, Mr. Dawson, he's not taken to the hospital. He's not examined medically by any paramedics. He starts with these field sobriety tests, the kind that you might see on TV, the kind that you have to focus on, to concentrate. And after that, he's taken in for this blood alcohol reading. Now, the state, they're going to waive this blood alcohol reading in front of you for the rest of this trial and tell you that that's the reason that Mr. Dawson ought to go away. But what you're going to hear is that those tests aren't perfect. They're not always accurate, and sometimes they make mistakes just like the rest of us. So at the end of this trial, Ms. Zhao is going to get up here and ask you to return a verdict of not guilty, because this was not a murder. It was a car accident.
Thank you, counsel. Plaintiff, on the first witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls Ms. Pat Lawrence.